Da, 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 da. How come we don't get knocked on that one?
YouTube, yes, is letting us go on that one. I think that's from YouTube. That's why. And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On the upcoming episode for this Monday, coming up here in just a little bit, I'm going to send it out probably right around midnight. It's the guys from the Super BS Gamescast and I talking about horror games because it's that time of the spooky season. Celebrate your Halloween with us right there at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus, we talk about what's going on, the latest goings on in the world of video games right there on the Pop Culture Cosmos. Also, as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football will be back with another great episode covering NFL Week 9. Hopefully, your fantasy football team is doing well. I've got a nail biter in one. Not sure if I'm going to win or lose that one. It's all dependent on my Monday night game. And I've got a win on the other. How are you doing on your teams, Joe?
I went 1-1 this week.
Okay. Okay.
The one I lost, fortunately, I had Jordan Love in, and he was bounced early, so I think that might have cost me. That and the fact that Reed didn't do much, and usually those guys play well together. I got a total of 12 points between those two, and I'm probably going to end up losing by like 10.
Ouch.
It's been that league is. I mean, I'm in the playoffs as of today. Before I lose, I still have Boswell. He could end up dropping if he drops 30 points, which isn't out of the scope of things. He can hit a couple 50 or like 2 or 3 50-yarders and then end up hitting, whatever, but not likely. There's I've been losing a lot of weird ways in this season in that league. If it's not some injury that screws me and I lose by 3 points, it's some guy having an amazing night where he drops 175 points and I drop 150.
Well, we will try to give you the best advice we can for your fantasy football team. Upcoming later this week on Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Also, as well, Joe Soros here, Mr. NAC11H18N202S. Hopefully, he'll explain that one, or maybe there's something like a license plate deal, like you're supposed to read into it. No,
It's not hard to figure out.
Okay,
Google
well,
it.
All right, well.
Use your noggins.
Well, I'll use my Bing and see if that does it. But of course, also, well, it is Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Plus, of course, he is the mastermind behind Simblades. Simblades with a Y.com. Also, as well, of course, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo, Empire Jeff TV covering the Dodgers and Lakers. Lakers in 5. Also, as well, John McCallion channel. The Lakerholics crew were here yesterday. Hopefully, you'll check out what they're doing today at Lakerholics.com. Laker Tom, again, one side's doing well with the Lakers. The other side, hopefully, will continue to do poorly for him for the New York Yankees. So find out what they're saying today. Him, Jamie Sweet, and Michael Heinrich at Lakerholics.com. Shout out to L. Rob, who wanted to be on last night's show, and I did not look at my phone. So I apologize to him, but he says he wants to jump on a show on one of the early shows that we do when they're on the road at one of the Eastern or Midwestern teams. So I'm looking forward to having him back on. Al Rupp, I cannot wait. Always a man of good stature and a man that knows his basketball right here for the Lakers Fast Break. But of course, also as well, I want to go ahead and make sure not to go ahead and just watch the video and move on. Please, if you like what we do, like and subscribe. Subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast and become a member. I just dropped a sneak peek at one of the opening videos. I'm actually glad I did because I got copyrighted on it. How did that happen? I send a exclusive video to my members and somehow a bot weeded their way into it and copyrighted me on it. So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one. But you get as a member. All that stuff first. Inside stuff first, plus emojis, badges, and more. Just for $2.99 a month. So go ahead and do it today, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Empire Jeff, what's up, Matt? In the chat today. Truly appreciate you joining us. The Lakers are going to stop by Phoenix tomorrow. Phoenix will be looking for some revenge as the Lakers head into Phoenix for the start of a 5-game road trip. Looking forward to seeing what will happen, and we'll discuss that. And the Dodgers, the Doyers, are in the bright lights of New York City, hoping to take a big, huge bite out of the apple tomorrow in Game 3. The great news for the Dodgers, as Joe Soro had predicted, Dave Roberts, via text to ESPN, said that Ohtani is good to go for Game 3. So we will get to the Doyers coming up here on the back half of the show, and Ohtani, and with Mr. Dodger right here, of course, Soro. But with that, it is the Lakers coming up on a 5-game road trip. Joe Soro, man behind Oxnard247, LakersBall.com, and simply at simplysportsworldwide.com. I ask you first, it doesn't start off easy. It is the Phoenix Suns. People are riding high on the JJ Redick wave, but I think this is going to be a real test. You said that the Lakers could get early momentum being at home for the first 3 games, and they have. But now another true test awaits in a 5-game road trip. They've got a couple good opponents in the very hot Cleveland Cavaliers and a tough team up ahead tomorrow in the Phoenix Suns.
So I would say most of any NBA viewer is going to expect a loss here. At some point, the Lakers are going to lose. And this is the first road trip, and you're playing a team that's usually pretty determined to play against you. And it's a team that likes to run a lot, much like the Sacramento Kings. However, Empire Jeff had mentioned that there is the Lakers have kind of had their number here the last year or so. I wouldn't be surprised if they won, but if they lost and it was competitive, I think it's still going in the right direction. What they likely need to do, though, when they get to Cleveland, because usually they usually go to the Midwest when it's the dog days, and if you're at your healthiest, which is what they are now, and most alert, you want to take advantage of these road trips and try to maybe come back a couple games above in terms of the win. So if you're going to go on a five-game road trip, if you can try to come back 4-1, which would mean they could, let's say they lose tomorrow and then they win 4 in a row. I guess that'd be nice, but 3-2 might still be okay. That would put them at 6-2. So that becomes kind of right now, based off how they've been playing, something realistic. And I don't think anybody would be upset. I saw the statistics of LeBron in the fourth quarter this last game. I'm surprised I didn't hear more about it, but he had 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He made all the shots. It's pretty phenomenal for quarter. And I'm getting a lot of crap right now, which I knew
he is the first to do that in decades. It's
been a while, yeah.
15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in a quarter.
Yeah. Now I'm not. Now it's funny that people keep talking about the JJ Redick thing. I was actually surprised that they would be talking about other things, but JJ Redick seems to be the one that people kind of come at me with, where they assumed that I didn't think he was going to be good. If it came off that way, I guess it came off that way. But I was more talking about the team. JJ Redick, I didn't know what to think with JJ Redick because he never coached. And in a situation where talent was deficient, I didn't know if there was a coach that has never coached. I didn't know how to set up a baseline on it. But apparently he's got their ear. Apparently he's got a plan that's working. And he's got them focused on doing the little things, and they're doing it. I cannot remember seeing a team like this with this talent
Yay! A
doing
subscriber.
this. It's just they don't have a lot of talent on this team in terms of what they had when they were winning a title with the LeBron and AD team. So he's tapped into something. He stepped into something that's working. Now, I'm also getting a lot of flack for the Larry Bird pick over LeBron. And when LeBron has quarters like he just had in his 22nd season, that's going to be something I'm going to have to atone to. So this is going to be the year of probably everyone getting on me. And you guys are finally going to get me, I guess, at this point. So I'm going to have to deflect everything. I'm getting a lot of flack at Lakers ball right now, so they're beating me up pretty well. I had talked to them about the kind of the ultimatum on the Olive thing, and they're like, "Oh wait, you backtracking?" I'm like, "No, we never really set a parameter." I said, if we're in the top four in the first 30 games, then it'll go. But I think they assumed a 20 win probably before the end of the year record would be what I would like, a 20-10 record. And I told him, I said, look, it would make more sense if we waited. The standings is really what matters. And I'm not going to eat if they're 18-12 and they're a third seed like that. Then you guys kind of are going to get on me on that. So yeah, so far, a lot of positives. When you win the way you win, it's also very encouraging on how they've won. There's some of these games that they wouldn't have won. I am almost sure of it. If you replace the leadership to the previous leadership from the last 2 years, it's very likely the Lakers end up probably being 1-2 in these 3 games. I'm sure of it. And it's really nice. It's really nice that that they've been able to come back, and then at the same time come out with a big lead in a back-to-back, but then they kind of dealt with the onslaught of what was coming to them twice and were able to get through, especially against the Sacramento Kings, whom have had their number. And Sabonis still outplayed AD a little bit, although it's probably more even. But that's going to come down to the fact that the Lakers are deficient at the front lines. If they can somehow find someone that could come here in some kind of a trade where they can have a legitimate center or a legitimate backup that's a little bit more skilled than Jackson Hayes. And Jackson Hayes is doing his job. He's doing as good as he can, as well as he can. But the Lakers really need just one more guy that could be kind of a problem. And then at that point, AD doesn't have to kill himself physically to try and guard someone who's extremely talented and looking like he got better since last year, which good for Sabonis on that one.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, aka Ox1947, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. If you're on Facebook, I just saw quite a few people liking the video. Truly appreciate you liking. Make sure you follow us to get the latest notification on Facebook when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcasts. Still trying to figure out why you are putting that, what is it, thiopental code up there for your name, but okay, that's what it came up with in Google. But all right,
What did it come out to when you combine it?
with thiopental,
Thio?
thio pen tall.
You guys will figure it out.
Eventually, I'm sure we will. But it's of course the Lakers Fast Break. I was thinking it was like when I first saw it was a chemical component. I'm like, oh, is Joe dealing with talking about his synthetic turf? But no, not.
Hey, Deep Purple.
It's anesthesia.
After my reconstructive surgery on my labrum, I don't think I could throw. I don't think I could throw a fastball more than for 50 miles an hour now. It doesn't hurt. It's fine. I can lift weights and sleep on it and still not wake up sore or anything. But man, throwing, I'd have to probably throw a little bit to probably start working and I never was a baseball player like in high school. I was so focused on football, I didn't want to play any other sport. I tried out for basketball, didn't make the team. A little bit more politics in those areas too. What I probably should have done was I probably should have started playing baseball early in Little League, but there was a problem. I went to a Little League game when I was young, and there were like 50 walks when I was watching the game. And I said, "What the hell is this? I don't want to play this. Walk, walk, walk." And I was already pretty knowledge in baseball at that point. I was 11 years old. I said, "I'm not going to play this right now. This is dumb." Probably one of the regrets I had in my life was not playing baseball because I think I would have enjoyed it. But
Where are you getting your Dodgers merch from? Everybody wants to. Is that a New Era or Fanatics?
I bought a lot of merch back in 2020,
Okay.
and I bought one. I think I bought maybe 8 to 10 different styles of shirts, a couple hats. I don't wear hats a lot because I work and it makes it. I don't want to sweat in my hats. I usually wear a hat if I'm going to go somewhere where it's dry and it doesn't sweat because I'm like. See, I've had this for
I
actually.
think it's Fanatics, Jay. I
It is.
think
It
you're
is.
right.
It is.
Yeah, I guessed right earlier. I
Yeah,
thought it was looking like a
Fanatics.
Fanatics.
There was a lot of Fanatics orders back then, and then they had some other off the cuff Fanatics links that I would buy stuff from that was Fanatics too, as well. This hat's probably my best Dodger hat, other than the 2020 championship hat. But I just thought it was kind of nice, and I try to not wear it too much because then the gray would get dirty. But this is my coach shirt, my baseball coach shirt. I like. It's a very comfortable shirt. It's blue. It stands out. It's simple and very, very, very supporting of the game.
How many Dodger stores? I know there's one here in Las Vegas. Of course, there's the one in Universal City. I've seen that one at City Walk. Does not every major mall, but I'm sure there's more Dodger stores in major malls across SoCal.
There is one at Universal City
Yeah, I've been
Walk.
out that one.
That one is unfortunately for them, and I get it that they're way overpriced. I don't need to go there to buy anything. I can get everything online.
The MLBstore.com.
Sure. I have other
Or
ways.
when they run a sale, they run sales constantly. Fanatics does, I know.
I'm pretty set in terms of clothes.
Mhm.
I don't think I really have to worry about Laker and Dodger gear as much. Steelers too, but
I'm
and
thinking
the
about
reason
that new city jersey though for the Lakers, that Lake Show jersey. I kind of
the
like that.
thing is here's the problem. I don't I can't wear the 90% of the stuff typically usually because I'm either working or it's too hot. I have nice hoodies and I have nice warm clothes usually warm clothes that are really nice of all three of my teams. But it's too hot. Dude, today it was 88 degrees. Now it's going to get cooler this week, thank God, but I run hot already. Even if it's a 70-degree day, I'm still running hot if I'm wearing this hoodie. It's got to be cold. And it does get cold in Temecula, in this area at night. One of the great things about this town and that I do love this area is it does get cold at night. It's hot in the day and it'll get cold at night. And when I go out at night, I can wear a hoodie, I can wear my cargo pants and whatever. And I feel like, okay, good. It's down to like 48 degrees, 52 degrees. Usually wearing that kind of gear is gonna work. I won't be too hot.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. We truly appreciate it. But the Lakers start tomorrow, 7 p.m. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do a pregame. I'm hoping I'm sneak one in for about 10 minutes. We'll see if I do, but I will definitely have for you guys out there playback.tv/ Lakers Fast Break to start up the VIPs for 20 people that are actually watching on playback.tv/ Lakers Fast Break. If not, and you still want to go ahead and get NBA League Pass, I have an affiliate link that you can go ahead and check out in the description coming up here. I'll post right here in just a second. So
Well, it's
with that,
it's very unlikely I'll be available tomorrow. I'm not saying I won't be, but it's unlikely. This is the second time in as many weeks or the last 3 weeks where all three of my teams are playing at the same time.
Mhm.
That doesn't happen. It's pretty nuts. The Dodgers are playing at 5. The Steelers are playing at 5:20. Actually, the Dodgers are playing 5:08. Steelers are playing at 5:20, and then the Lakers are playing at 7. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put the Lakers on the back burner there, obviously, because I'm not gonna be able to watch 3 screens. I usually can watch 2. I can't pay attention to 3. So there's a chance that I might not be available tomorrow night, unless, of course, let's say the Yankees start killing the Dodgers in the first 2-3 innings and it's a blowout. Then at that point I might be able to shift to the Lakers. But tomorrow is. I was talking to Empire Jeff just a little while ago. I said I want them to put a stranglehold on this, and I don't think there's a bigger stranglehold than winning Game 3 in Yankee Stadium. If they win tomorrow, it's pretty much all but done. And I felt that they would come back from New York with a title if they won the first 2 games, and they've done that. And Otani's going to be available, and it would be poetic. It would be befitting of a season of injuries to have a injured Otani all of a sudden go off in Yankee Stadium and help the Dodgers win a championship in New York. And that's, to me, the way to go to kind of get rid of this anxiety. I had described this series at this moment much like how the Denver series was in 2009. Some of my friends were surprised that I heard that when they heard that the most stressful, grueling game, as much as Game 7 was grueling and crazy for 2010, I actually felt worse for Game 3 in Denver in 2009 for the Western Conference Finals. I remember it vividly. I was sitting there. I had my hands on my knees, and I was just dying. And the reason why I think it was that when that series did that to me was there was this redemption that was still there hanging. Kobe and the Lakers had lost to the Celtics the year before. I knew that whomever they played in the East, they were going to beat, but I was scared of Denver. And I was scared of Denver with Carmelo. I hadn't seen Kobe Bryant get manhandled physically until that series. Imagine this. I've been watching Kobe for 13 seasons at that point. And I think 14 at that point. No, 13. And when he was trying to guard Carmelo was backing him down like he wasn't even there. I was like, oh, shit. And we didn't have our test at that time. We had Ariza, and thank God, because Ariza was amazing in that series. He had 2 key plays in the Denver series that helped them win. But guarding Carmelo, he looked determined and he looked ready. And J.R. Smith wasn't missing. And Chauncey Billups scared me too because what he had done in 2004. So there was a lot of anxiety until Game 6, because Game 3, when Kobe hit that 3 with less than a minute to go up by 1, and they ended up stealing that game, I was just like, whoa. And then, of course, Denver wins Game 4, Game 5. They're tied through the first 3 quarters at Staples, and then Lamar Odom dunks over the Birdman, and Luke Walton headbutts him in the back while Lamar is screaming. And I mean, I went like Hulk. I was just going nuts. I teleported into Lamar Odom's brain and Luke's head. And then they end up winning that game. And then, of course, Kobe absolutely tore their hearts out in Game 6 in Denver. And then at that point, I finally had calmed down. So yeah, I feel that way a little bit right now because it's such a huge this win. Not only would it be a win in a full season, but it's a win against the Yankees. And it's a win at a time where I believe they're a year ahead based off of the turmoil they've dealt with their pitching. Because so.
Well, I was going to say, Ansasi, we'll get to Lakers talk. I promise. I swear to you, man. I know you just subscribed. We won't have you desubscribing us, man. No worries. I do want to go ahead and
I did want to get this out of the way, guys. I know we've been getting some people saying, "Hey, we want to talk Lakers." I get it. I'm sorry, but it's Dodgers Yankees is a big thing in this area.
And it is absolutely, and we will discuss before the end of the show more about the Dodgers. But I want to go ahead and get the Lakers. But there was a couple quick Dodgers questions, real quick. How did you hurt your shoulder? Real quick, it was asked in the chat. How did you hurt your shoulder?
We're overloaded on. This used to be my weapon in football.
Ah,
I had many stingers in it, and obviously lifting weights. I bench pressing is one of the worst exercises for your shoulders. One of the worst, even if you have good form. And I tore the labrum, and I didn't take care of it when it initially tore for 10 years until it got to the extensive tear, and then finally I had to get it fixed.
then who is your favorite current Dodger and your favorite all-time Dodger? Real quick, and then we'll get right to the Lakers. I promise on Sazi.
Favorite current Dodger, probably Kike.
Yeah, because you had the shirt the other day. I
And
figured
then
as much.
my favorite all-time Dodger was probably Mike Piazza before he left.
There you go. The mustache, indeed, and the beard. The after, yeah, man, that guy. Yeah, he had all the ladies swooning when he was here. But once again, it is the Lakers
So
fast
did
break.
Fabio, aka Eric Karras.
There you go. That's true. That's true. I remember those days. Once again, it is the Lakers fast break. It is, of course, Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. So the Lakers start out on a 5-game, very important road trip early on in the season because there's still many questions that people have about this team. Yeah, it's a homestand. They went 3-0. Yeah, okay. But what happens when they go out on the road? They're facing at least a couple teams there that are going to be very tough to face off of. The first one straight off the bat is Phoenix looking for some revenge tomorrow night in Phoenix. I think we're going to have to get a good effort again, Joe, from the starting five, but that bench is always a question mark. So far, the only consistent players we've seen to give you any kind of help are Jackson Hayes and Dalton Connect. Max Christie has been a bust so far in most people's eyes. He's had a couple good moments here or there, usually early in his tenure coming off the bench, and then it usually goes south from there. And Gabe Vincent, despite some really strong defense, I will give him credit for that. Offensively, he's just not, doesn't seem like he's just going to ever give you more than 7 to 10 points a game, maybe a couple times, every now and then in double figures, but he's never really going to go and get you what you need as far as a spark offensively. He is just that steadying force coming off the bench because he's a veteran now in the league. Your thoughts on what the Lakers need to do to get it done tomorrow night and get it done on this road trip?
Lean on AD. AD, there's really no answer in Phoenix for AD. If he has a 35, 15, and of course 3 block game, despite probably 8 that they don't count, you're not going to put as much pressure on LeBron to play hard 35 minutes. If the shots are going in, AR is getting nice open shots. He's making them connect. Maybe hits 3 tomorrow. That would help. D'Lo always plays a big part in a lot of these games in terms of making things laxed. He has been a playmaker, though. He's been making some really nice passes. Guys are moving, and maybe it's easier for him to make those decisions. This is the first time these guys have played together in terms of the connects, the
Talk about Gabe Vincent, first
the
time
Gabe,
really.
really Gabe Vincent kind of being not injured and playing regularly.
And
Jackson Hayes,
Max Christie coming off the bench is your sixth man.
Jackson Hayes playing with AD.
Hmm.
So JJ is trying to get continuity and consistency within these lineups. One thing I notice about championship teams is, and I remember this from the 2000 team, everyone knew that AC Green was not better than Robert Ory, but there was this continuity. Same thing with JaVale McGee. Everyone knew that Dwight Howard was probably a little bit better than JaVale McGee, and obviously AD is a better center than JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee. But there was this kind of continuity and stability in starting the game with the certain talent that JaVale had. You had JaVale McGee, which is kind of what's happening with. It's not the same, but you kind of have a twin tower type thing with Jackson Hayes and AD. What happens is you set the game up with you can't really penetrate immediately at the beginning of games because you're going to have to deal with JaVale McGee's blocking ability as well as AD's blocking ability. So that kind of sets you into a certain momentum,
Okay.
your opposition, to shoot more instead of come to the paint.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Joe, did you get that router thing fixed? Because you just popped off for a second.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah, you were gone for about a half second.
I have a new router.
That's still dancing with your internet. But you're live now. You've got 4 bars now. I'll take what I can get.
You're telling me I got cut off the last like 20 seconds?
You froze on everyone because I can see the number of bars on your signal. So
my bars haven't changed. I haven't even seen anything change on my end.
According to this, for a split second you went X. So it was weird. But you're back with us now. I know he's not, but I'm just being honest with you, man. I'm sorry. So the Lakers, again, AD is playing at a meteoric level, at an MVP level, and then you've got the great performance that we have not seen in decades that LeBron had the other night. We're playing against the Kings in that fourth quarter. Again, for what we're seeing, it's a lot is being placed on the shoulders of these two guys as far as it's concerned for the superstars. What the supporting cast, I think the supporting cast, we've gotten bits and pieces of it. Solid. Austin Reeves gave us a great performance on Friday. Next day was kind of shot well still, but the turnovers. I know that the team is leaning more and more on him to be the main distributor, the guy to be handling the ball more and more at the point. Is this a recipe that you like so far as Austin Reeves being the primary distributor?
It works. His ball handling skills got better. He has more energy this year. I think the rest during the summer helped versus last summer. I think he was tired to start the year. You gotta do something to make sure that LeBron isn't handling the ball all game. I think the reason why he's had a lot of energy towards the end of the game is because he's not handling the ball a lot. I remember seeing that he wasn't really being seen a lot of times during a lot of these games. He was just off ball and kind of letting AR do his thing and let the offense kind of work itself out. And that's probably the biggest thing that JJ Redick has been able to find out a little bit on how to gauge
You're
that.
awesome.
If you can't take LeBron out and play him 30 minutes a game, okay, but we got to limit his usage a little bit. We got to get him off that ball because that's a lot of energy he's wasting. Imagine the difference between high intensity, high level basketball for 35 minutes a game for a guy that's been playing as long as he has, or maybe 29 minutes of that, but then there's 6 minutes during the game where he's just kind of floating around and trying to get open and get under the rim, going baseline, diving to the basket, shooting a three because he's open, things like that. Those things don't take as much energy away, and it's showing already. And AR is helping there. He's not turning the ball over. He did have some turnovers in the Phoenix game, but that was everybody seemed to have had an issue there. And that's not kind of not normal. When you have someone like Durant who's got arms, like Doc Ock, those kind of things are going to happen. And Booker is not a really good defender, but he's very feisty. He gets up in your stuff. And what we saw last night is something that I hadn't seen in a while against Sacramento, is that the Lakers kept up with them. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that LeBron was fresh. He was fresh. That kind of run they had a little bit without AD also helped in that AD came in the fourth after that run, and he wasn't tired in the end. So JJ is trying to see if whatever balance during the game works to where one of his guys is fresh at all times. And I think that's why they're winning right now. We're going to have to wait and see how it develops into an 82 game season, though. They still need help, though. They still need help. And I was doing some looking into this. I've said that we could probably get away with not having to worry about getting a point guard right now, someone who can handle the ball. I think we're okay there with Austin being one of the main guys, and then you have LeBron. But I keep going to Atlanta. I keep going to Atlanta. Atlanta has two players that could solve two of the big problems that the Lakers have. And while it's probably not realistic, because they're probably going to want some good stuff back, but it's the closest to being realistic. So imagine this. Imagine if there was some way they could get a deal for Bogdanovich and Capella. That right there, because when I was on, I pride myself in knowing information while we're on the show, obviously. You guys all know that. A lot of the stuff luckily sticks in my head anyways, but there's times where I do get stumped and I'm like, I should have prepared better on this one. So this time I did prepare because there has to be a solution. If you have a problem with something, am I cutting out it again?
No, you're doing good. The only reason why I'm wincing, Joe, is because I don't think they would give both.
No. It has nothing. No, focus on what I'm saying here. It's not likely. But
I'm just saying they would probably offer DeAndre Hunter instead of Bogdanovich if you want.
Okay,
Capella.
yeah, I get that, but the point is the Lakers need two things. If they got these two things, they are title contenders immediately. That is another scorer and a guy that could play up front. And right now, Capella is on his last year's contract.
Yes.
And Bogdanovich isn't making a lot of money. And he has a team option in 2026, 27. And I would say this. You're going to probably have to package D'Angelo because you're going to need the money to use him. Whatever package you can get in terms of players that can match those contracts. And then you send the 29 and 31. I know Tom's going to be happy hearing this. You send the 29 and 31 at the very least, top 8 protected. Then maybe this team might have a shot. Because if you get those kind of players and the fact that you have Connect, that's kind of a clone of Bogdanovich. You've heard me say that. I think he could be a Bogdanovich. I really do. And Bogdanovich is a hell of a player. So imagine having his soon-to-be clone together. I mean, those guys would sit on the corners, and LeBron would probably win this. If they got that deal done, let's say in a couple of weeks. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that they did. I bet you LeBron would probably be up in the top 5 assist numbers in the league. And that right there, folks, is what the Lakers are likely going to have to do to win it. It looks like they're going to compete. Looks like I was wrong, at least at this moment, that they're going to compete. But they're still not going to win the title if it's this structure of a team. A lot of things would have to go their way. I'm talking OKC would have to lose Shea Gilgeous somehow or Chet Holmgren. And then, of course, Kyrie would have to get hurt. And I say that because there's been a history of that. Things would have to clear all the way on the West for this to happen, especially with those two teams, because those two teams are going to be competitive. And I'm still, you still got to worry about Denver. Denver's still going to be a force, even though they're starting out slow. And then, of course, you got to deal with Boston right now. Boston looks like they're running on all cylinders. And Philly, which if they're healthy, there's going to be a problem there for Boston because there's things that Boston can't guard on that team. But I'm going to rely on Boston staying healthy more than Philly and probably going to the finals again. And then you can't go all the way to the finals if everything gets laid out for you and you end up losing to Boston. That'd be tragic.
Because Boston does really look good right now, my friend. They've started out like the Lakers, 3-0, but the Lakers are also 3-0. And again, they come up on a 5-game road trip. So, Joe, it starts off with Phoenix. Again, we've always talked this before when we set up the road trip for our audience, what we think that it would be a successful road trip or what they think that they will do during the course of that road trip. again, tough games primarily against Cleveland and also as well Phoenix. I know a lot of people are now that are all on the JJ train. They're talking 5-0. They're talking 4-1. What are you looking for as far as getting out of this road trip early on? 3-2, perhaps? Is that more realistic?
Probably. I think it's realistic. They've had Phoenix's number, but let's just say they lose tomorrow. It's a road game. It's the Suns. Suns are going to be motivated. I know Cleveland is good, but I think it's a winnable game. The Toronto game is going to be a back-to-back, which means they got to fly to Toronto immediately after the game. No, actually, no, there's a day off there. I'm sorry. I could see them beating Cleveland, Toronto, and the Pistons, and then maybe lose to the Grizzlies. So I'd say if I had to pick a realistic number and kind of keep it at bay with expectations, I'd say they're going to lose. Let's say they lose tomorrow, and then they lose to the Grizzlies, but they win the middle three.
Against Cleveland, because Cleveland's started out hot to start the season.
I just think they play really well against Cleveland, usually, even in Cleveland.
Because of it's LeBron in front of his.
Well, that too. But even the Lakers in the past, even when the Lakers were in the championship mode with Kobe, they seemed to always play well in Cleveland. They always played well in Cleveland. They always played well in New York. I don't know why, but that's just kind of how it went. And then Detroit, Toronto was always a struggle because I always felt like they were always on the end of a back-to-back. But worse than those is usually Miami, Atlanta, and Orlando. That little trio there, they would always lose 2 out of 3 there for some reason. Atlanta too. Atlanta was always I could never figure it out. Is it the nightlife? Because the nightlife in Atlanta I hear is pretty good.
Yes.
Miami, obviously, I understand. Orlando, I don't know. Is Orlando the hot spot too?
I've been there a few times. It's a hot spot for families, but not necessarily for, the guys out there. I mean, Orlando, you're now facing off against a young team that's very athletic, still has trouble putting the ball in the basket from when I was watching them yesterday. But again, they're long. They've got a great amount of defenders. So that's where I think the problem lies as far as Orlando's concerned, not necessarily the nightlife per se.
So when you're on the road, you want to win 60% of your games on the road, and then you want to win your home games. So if they come back out 6-2 after 8 games, 10% of the season, you're doing pretty darn well. Doing pretty darn well. Now, you're not going to win 62 games because that's what it kind of algebra is out to. I can't believe you guys haven't found out what this thing means yet.
I tried. I looked it up. But
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you guys. You guys got to figure it out.
Okay.
It's 2 words. It's 2 words. It's 2 easy words that when they're combined. So 6-2 would be an ideal start to 10% of the season out the gate. 6-2 is a hell of a number. If they come back even 5-3, considering how they've started, sure. But I think that'd be a bummer. I think that'd be a bummer if they lost more. That'd be basically what? Let me look at this here. I mean, who would they beat? Toronto and Detroit, and that's it, and they lose everybody else. Do you see them losing to the Suns, Cavs, and Grizzlies?
I think they're going to get one of those 3 games against the Suns, Cavs, and Grizzlies. I think they'll win the other 2. I think realistically, and that's what I try to do, I think 3-2 is a realistic expectation, and 7-3 or 8-2 by the 10 games. If it's 8-2, as Laker Tom has predicted, and as I was reminded in the chat of that, I think that's a hell of a start for JJ Redick.
You guys are obsessed with JJ Redick, aren't you?
It's all about winning, Joe. It's all about winning. Immediately he comes in, wins 3 games, and that's all we hear. You and I have heard it nonstop We were mistakenly called haters. We were mistakenly called this and that, this, that. We just wanted to see him out on the floor coaching and what it would look like. And so far, the returns, the early returns, are pretty darn good, Joe.
People always look at the stuff that's wrong, but they don't pay attention to the stuff that's right. We're still right on the Gabe Vincent thing so far, and we were dead on with Mr. Max Christie. My focus now, as I enjoy the winning and the continued improvement in terms of how the offensive sets are worked and their defense and their court balance and their ability to move around and still try and get rebounds as well as initiate the offense in a much faster pace with the right guys so that LeBron doesn't have to spend so much time initiating. Well, now I want to know if Rob is sitting there and feeling what's happening here so that he knows that he has to do something before the deadline. He has to do something before the deadline, and it has to be kind of way before the deadline. There needs to be chemistry built here. The Lakers need an infusion of talent, the right talent to make a run here if this thing continues to go the way it's going. I mean, it's we have to wait. I'm going to wait 30 games. But if these guys are sitting at 20 and 10, he's got to get more talent in here. And he's got to use some of these contracts and figure out a way to make it work. Otherwise, if you just go in with this team into the playoffs, it's going to be very, very hard to because they're going to run into Denver at some point. You need something. You need reinforcements. You need somebody that's going to be able to guard Jamal Murray. And right now they don't have anybody.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. We truly appreciate it. It is, of course, Lakers weekend coming to a close as the
It's a good one,
Lakers
Search.
and the Dodgers. Yeah, I thought I'd pop that one on there. Are headed out for a very important week. So we, like you said, tomorrow is going to be a very busy day for you. So I don't know how much time you'll be able to spend tomorrow on the show, but I will be here guiding you guys through Lakers Fast Break as best I can. So with that, my friend, I ask you, when it comes right down to it, what are you deeming a success for this road trip coming up?
3-2.
Okay.
3-2. I'd be I'd be okay with it. I'd be pretty content with it. I just don't know how the combination is going to happen. A lot of me says Phoenix is going to get one here at home. They beat Cleveland, they beat Toronto, they beat Detroit, and then maybe they lose to Memphis because John Morant can be a problem. He is a guard that can't really be contained a lot of times, and if he goes off, they probably win the game. And it would be at the end of the road trip, so they probably likely to be more tired. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the scenario I see at the moment.
Okay.
But a 3-2 start, a 3-2 road trip, a 6-2 start, 10% into the season, which is a pretty good chunk. A lot better than being it's a lot better than being 3-5, I'll tell you that.
Well, again, if it went awry early, we were going to, like I said, we had talked about that there was that possibility it could happen. But I'm glad that JJ has come out with a plan. He's studying up. You already heard what happened as far as the tweet yesterday of Baron Davis seeing JJ Redick at the car wash and him studying all with as far as Sacramento's, and obviously it paid off as they got the victory. So I'm hoping that he will be able to continue this work ethic, and it's just whatever we said about him leading up to the coaching part of it. No one is questioning now his work ethic. You can still question what he says, his past comments about players from other eras and other decades. Some of that stuff I think it still doesn't sit right with a lot of us. But with that said, no one, Joe, can question him early on about the way he's handling this team and how much energy it has given Lakers fans right now.
I am curious to hear from players what's changed, what's the difference. They're probably not going to want to insult Darvin Ham. Most of these guys are professionals. All of them are professionals. They're not going to dog on somebody. I'm pretty sure of it, at least in public. But what did he do? Why did it take JJ Redick to get you to move a certain way and understand certain things? I'm curious. Is it did AD feel disenfranchised somehow last year? Which isn't out of the realm of things. Big men, since the beginning of big men in the NBA, when they don't get fed, what happens? Their motivation goes down. It was just that, at least since I've been watching basketball, I remember Shaq used to say stuff like that because Shaq was boisterous enough to say things like that, whereas other people wouldn't say things like that. Patrick Ewing would be more private about it, Alonzo, whatever. But big men need to be fed, and that can be a pun, that could be a reality, that could be literally. Big men need to be fed. AD is a big man. You got to feed him, and when you feed him, guess what? Guess what you do when you feed the big man? He protects the house. So he has made AD right now, numbers wise, right in the top five in the MVP discussion in just 3 games. And AD looks like he's crashing. I mean, did you see him crash the other day into the back of the backboard? He got
Yes.
up like he got up like this. Usually, whenever you go down, he'd be there for like 10 minutes, and he crashed into it. I haven't seen AD fall as much unless I'm blind right now. Am I blind? Is he not falling as much as he has in the past?
He is not falling as much
Okay,
as he
I'm
has.
wondering if JJ Redick said, "Cut that shit out. You're wasting too much energy doing that." And another thing that we talked about in the last show is I haven't seen LeBron leave his guys in the lurch when he doesn't get a call. So
I
right out
saw
of
him. I saw him walking up once the other game after he had made a pass, but no, he has not been arguing with the refs and leaving them behind as far as the transition is concerned.
it might be just a coincidence, or it might be something that JJ Redick addressed. We discussed this summer. Can JJ Redick talk to LeBron? Will he be able to tell LeBron, "Hey, I need you to focus on this"? Is he going to get offended? These are the questions we asked. As of right now, no, because when you're winning, things usually solve themselves. What's going to happen when the Lakers lose their first 3 in a row and the media starts to jump on them? I'm not going to jump on this team in any of our shows the whole year. I'm going to jump on certain players, but not the team, because I already know what the team is. And if they advance higher than what I think they are, it's just a win. It's a win in focus. It's a win in mentality. That this guy might have done it. Wasn't likely. It didn't. It doesn't make sense that he's doing it, considering he's never coached. But who gives a shit? He's doing it. So that's where we're going to be at here, because we can't sit here and yap all summer and then be surprised during a little bit of a low spot, because then you're starting to go back. You're going back on what you're saying. You become kind of a contradictory commentary commentator. I don't want to be contradictory. I want to stick with what makes sense and be if if I have an opinion that of what something's going to be and I'm wrong, fine. I'll take the I don't predict every team wins. Otherwise, I'd be in Vegas being a billionaire. You know what I mean? No one is 100%, but we also preach on the show that we are basing our opinion, at least I am, and I know you are, G, on things that have happened, things that are happening, things that are more likely to happen based off of a player's age, a player's game, a player's mentality. And when that doesn't happen, it's not because, oh my God, you were so wrong. It's just like, well, looks like maybe they worked themselves out of that. Please, Max Christie, work yourself out of this talent that you don't seem to have. Can you figure it out? Because they just gave you $8 million to motivate you, and right now you look like THT after he got his contract. And there's always one. There's always one, guys. If it's not THT, it's Max Christie. If it's not Max Christie, it's Luke Walton. It's just what it is. There's always one contract that drives you nuts. And of course, I didn't want to mention Luol Deng. That's a kind of a different entity there, but that's the probably worst one of the last 20 years. So it's the health part will determine this, obviously. But I also think that if Rob sees that this team is sitting in the fourth spot come January 1, he has to do something to put this team over. Much just like Boston. Do you think Boston would have won the title last year without Drew Holiday?
No.
Exactly. Boom. Why? And you don't need to listen to us. You don't need to listen to Gerald for absolutely right away, not even hesitating. Go watch what Drew Holiday did on some of those plays at the end of the game. It's the same Drew Holiday that was, what were they saying? Milwaukee was choking. I think people kind of misinterpret choking a lot.
And they jettisoned off to Portland.
Right.
And Milwaukee thought they did something slick. And Portland said, you know what? We're going to do something slicker and send him right back into the Eastern Conference. And there you go. Now, Portland didn't get the best end of the stick on that one. But, hey, it worked for Boston. If you're a Boston fan, it was a shrewd move. You know what? You know, as much as we hate the Celtics, and I hate that those damn uniforms, they made all the right moves, Joe, and we didn't, and we haven't. And it's up to Rob Pelinka, who I don't have the faith in yet, because outside of that one trade deadline 2 seasons ago, in 5 years, he has not pushed many of the right buttons, Joe. So you'll forgive me if I don't have enough confidence yet in Rob, who has basically backed, again, as I have to tell everyone verbatim for the 900th time, he has backed the Lakers into a corner as far as financially. All those comments you guys say about, oh, let's dump Reddish, let's dump Wood, let's trade Maxwell Lewis, let's dump Bronny, let's dump all the stuff you guys say, he can't do unless giving up a draft pick. Or if you say, let's trade this player for Wood. These guys, those minimum salaries, those guys, they're all at the back end of the roster. They're taking up spaces for players, Joe, that could give us a better contribution and more depth, because that's the one thing that concerns me most is the depth on this roster going forward. Everything looks great now, 3 games in, but what happens if there's more injuries? What happens when LeBron, even though he wants to play all 82 games, gets a little tired? What happens if AD gets a little bit of a, twisted ankle here, maybe needs to be sitting out for a game or two? What happens then? Because our depth right now is not, it still has to be, to you guys out there and to us, a great bit of the Lakers' concern.
The NBA has started their pseudo hard cap era as of last year. As the NBA progresses, star players are going to have to make a decision on whether they want to debilitate their chances at winning consistently, winning championships. If they don't, if they continue to take super max contracts or just max contracts, and you have 2 players on your team doing that, now the word depth is going to start dwindling. The Lakers are in that mode right now, even before this era starts. They don't have enough to distribute because you're paying 2 guys over $100 million a year. So how do you create depth? How is the future of the depth of the NBA going to be? Here's what it is. And I've also gotten a lot of flack, not on the show, but off the air, about not giving credit to Rob for selecting Dalton Connect. I had responded to some of my friends by saying, guys, do you follow the draft? Do you follow college basketball? Now, I have admitted I don't follow college basketball like Stone Hansen. I don't follow college basketball as much as I probably could if I didn't follow all the other sports that I follow and have a full-time job, family, house, and the rest. Believe me, I would be more than happy to follow college football, college basketball.
Joe, why? That's disgraceful, man. You need to be studying up on your YouTube. You need to be looking at those workout videos while you're on the freeway.
Yes, sir. Yes, I agree. I should go on my elliptical. I have it at my upstairs. I should be on it and watching every
Cooper Flag. There you go.
Every SEC
Ace Bailey.
every SEC player of the year, which is what Dalton Connect was, I got to pay attention to those guys, right? The reality of that is Rob Pelinka being where he is in terms of his knowledge of how to manage a team. Was he really shrewd in making that pick? Did he surprise anyone? Or did we all know that, hey, Connect's still on the board? This is his job, by the way, folks. I can't do his job. I can't go hang out at high schools and colleges and scout. And believe me, when I say this, folks, if I had unlimited resources in my life, I would totally make trips to go see the next up and coming high school player or college player, because we're going to be doing this show, right? What better way than to be at the source, which is what separated guys like Jerry West from, let's say, Phil Jackson when he was in New York. That was the first question I asked anyone that was around me. When Phil Jackson got hired as the VP or player of operation guy in New York, I go, what the hell are they doing? Why is James Dolan hiring Phil Jackson to run the Knicks? Phil Jackson isn't going to go anywhere to go scout and find people. That's not what he does. He's a coach. But Phil obviously did it for money, and Jim Dolan wanted the pub, and you all saw what happened. So this business is about, and basketball is the easiest talent evaluation in sports. You can usually know right away when someone's really, really going to be good. And if you do a little bit more homework, you can really get a leg up on the competition. So with that, Rob, let's just give Rob the credit. It was under his watch, right? Okay, I'll give you Connect.
So let me say this, Joe. Let me say this. Okay, Connect fell down to them. What did they have to do? How was this compared to the previous season when you had another potentially great player, or good player, I should say, good player, a guy who can score just coming off the bench or as a starter, and Cam Whitmore, he had a similar fall. You thinking that this time they learned from their mistakes from last season and finally decided, hey, when a player is gifted to us, we need to take him?
We're never going to know that answer,
Mm-hmm.
but let's say that makes sense.
Especially after the JHS disaster.
Let's say it makes sense. And if Cam Whitmore ends up being someone who wasn't valuable, yeah, we missed out on Pazayeski. Yeah, we missed out on Triple J. But that's the hindsight part. The Cam Whitmore issue was not a hindsight thing. He was the most talented player at that moment. And you risk that draft pick for someone that talented. That guy was fourth on that board, and athletically might have been number 2 on that board. You got to take that guy, especially with a team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on it, and guys that can actually get that guy the ball in transition, and he can dunk all over the place. Even if he had turned into a Shannon Brown, which that's what I was saying to a lot of my friends. I said, even if this guy turns into a Shannon Brown, that guy, I remember my dad, God rest his soul, my dad loved Shannon Brown. Everyone loves Shannon Brown. You need Shannon Browns on a team that's competing. That guy will entertain. He keeps things kind of, the camaraderie and the ability to kind of have a community. Those guys play integral parts on competitive teams, even though their talent might not be where you want it. He was blocking shots on the top of backboards. He almost dunked from the other side of the freaking building over Richardson in Phoenix. Barely missed it, where the whole crowd was about to just go nuts. Those type of things kind of balance things out. It balances the constant focus, win, win, win. You see some kind of athletic feat, or when you're blowing out a team and you put him in and he puts on a show. Hey, man, this is Hollywood, baby. This is still Showtime, where Showtime was born, you need those guys sometimes. And maybe Cam Whitmore would have been that guy at the very least. However, I'm going to say that they learned their lesson. We're never going to know 100%, but it would make sense if that was the case. So they've made up for that a little bit. Now, Rob has gotten through that, and now it's time to assess this thing at least until the end of the year, if not before, probably after Christmas, likely, because that's when the NBA season starts to really go. But he has to bring reinforcements if he wants to win a championship. Sorry, Stone. I know you don't believe that, but what else are we going to talk about all year?
And I know the rumor said it's because of character issues, bad interviews, and possible injury issues. But Cam Whitmore, he had too much talent. He was projected in the top 5, top 7 on almost every draft board, Thameless. And it was something where, again, there was just too much talent to pass up. Instead, they went for a different direction, and ultimately they paid a price. He's playing well for Houston right now. Triple J, if you wanted to go with an older player, Triple J, you could have gone for him because he went the next pick. And then, or if you wanted another player that could do a lot of different things, Podziemski obviously is someone that went shortly thereafter to Golden State as well. Yeah, all those 3 choices were there, and they were better options for what Stone said at that time during the course of the draft than what the Lakers picked in JHS. For us, we had said live that we wanted Whitmore, and we were willing to take the risks on him. And obviously, you see what happens. The Houston Rockets got a much better player than what the Lakers got, and have gotten burned by it.
It's sad if that was the case for Triple J. The guy's 22, and he played at UCLA. Do you not have somebody that can assess something that's 10 minutes from your place? Makes me wonder what these guys do. Are you really not picking somebody because they're 22 or 23? They didn't make that mistake this year. Connect was 23. You're not getting that player at 17 to change your franchise. You're getting that player to help fit a role because you already have your stars and you have your really good players already. So you have to pick the best talent at that moment that's going to help fit a role. If he turns into Kawhi Leonard, all the better. But at least get a guy that you know that can play and fit a role. I still don't know to this day why JHS was drafted. I really do not know, other than the fact that there's
those
been
Big Ten ties. Yeah.
There's been rumors that D'Angelo's going to get traded, and he had a similar game, which I still don't understand what the. Okay, he doesn't play defense. Okay, that makes sense. He can't shoot from 3. He's a mid-range guy. So how is that even close to replacing D'Angelo, even if you did trade him? He's not particularly fast. Okay, that's like D'Lo. But D'Lo's going to stay in the league for another 5 to 8 years because he has a quick release and he can get hot. There was no indication at any factor in JHS's career that he was going to be that guy. That's it. Was he going to be DeMar DeRozan, mid-range king? Is that what you were banking on? Well, it hasn't shown itself in 2 years, so I don't know. Maybe he does turn into that, but right now it doesn't look like it. The key here is the topic of the discussion is if this team continues to play well and have bought into JJ Redick's philosophy, and there isn't any major injuries, because that's always going to be the topic at the very least. You cannot have any major injuries with LeBron or AD. Major injury means if any one of them is out for 2 or 3 weeks, especially AD, because that means LeBron's going to have to shoulder on a lot of stuff. Got to be careful. You gotta figure out a way. That's your job. You got to figure out a way to bring in reinforcements if you want to go compete in the playoffs.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glass. Thanks again for watching this. Truly appreciate it. So it is the Lakers starting on their 5-game road trip tomorrow at 7 p.m. not sure, but I'll try. I don't think I will be able to do a pregame, but I'll have playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, the simulcast, if everything all works well. Live for you come 7 o'clock when the Lakers face off against the Suns, and I will be glad to be part of that for you on playback. Don't forget, if you're a VIP, I've got 20 of them out there. If there's less than 20 people, everybody gets taken care of. After 20 people, we'll have to try and see what we can work out, negotiate from there to get people a better view of what's going on with the game. But before we head it out, Thameless says, how much will Ben Simmons after this contract? 10 million? He's not even worth that, Thameless, right now. For Brooklyn, yeah, that 40 million, you're going to have to swing them a heck of a deal if you want Ben Simmons, because $40 million is coming off their books when Ben Simmons leaves at the end of the season. So after that, if he gets like a minimum contract, I think that's probably what somebody will offer at the best for him. But yeah, his career will be more like what could have been, what should have been, but what wasn't.
Don't be surprised if Boston calls him and gives him a little money, a minimum, and he goes. The environment there could be something that would set him straight a little bit, and he might
and he
want to.
does, and he doesn't have to worry about shooting because there's so many
And
other shooters.
he would be able to possibly have a good enough year to where he can maybe get a contract outside. I don't know. I don't know what he would do. I honestly don't. But I think he's one of the. When you talk about busts, he's not a bust. He's worse than a bust. He's actually worse than a bust, because usually busts are just ass right out the gate and never really recover. Ben Simmons was on the path of a Hall of Fame career. And while I'm not comparing it all like this, but in terms of the rise and fall, a little bit reminds me of Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's a weirdo. Ben Simmons not a weirdo. He's just an idiot. And it's they were about to ascend to like godlike mode, and Antonio probably got there, but the fall was bad. Darren Williams, it was almost kind of Darren Williams like, but I think worse, because Darren Williams, I never saw Darren Williams when he was going down be as inconsiderate and greedy as Ben Simmons.
You need a ton of shooters around him. If you have Ben Simmons out there, you need 4 willing and able. You need 4 Dalton Connects out there who have no conscience and will take all the shots, because Ben Simmons comes out there and he is like a negative on the offensive end outside of rebounding and passing. And then, of course, he won't take it to the hole. He's worried about missing his free throws. And of course, he has no jump shot to speak of. But yeah, as a minimum player next year, he might make some noise. But like I said, it's that you have to have a lot of shooters around him to be effective. But before we head on out, I said we would spend a little bit of time on the Dodgers, Joe, and I wanted to make sure that you got that. You're excited because, again, you've got the Lakers, you've got the Steelers, and you got the Doyers playing in the bright lights of the Big Apple tomorrow. The bright lights of the Big Apple of New York City, Yankee Stadium. And guess who's going to play after all, Joe? Shohei Ohtani. I'm telling you, unless his arm was like dangling and like almost cut off, there is no way he's missing an opportunity to play looking at that short porch in right field. Absolutely no way.
Yeah,
he might just do it one-handed.
For a left-handed bat, a lot of the follow-through is going to come through the right. So his left isn't going to be, it's going to be sitting up like this, but he's not going to need to use the force as much than it would be for the right. Cody Bellinger had his right dislocated. That was a complete dislocation. That wasn't a subluxation, which is a slight movement and back of the bone to the socket. They had an MRI. I guess they're waiting for the results. It seems like there's likely not going to be anything torn from the labrum or any of the tendons. Might have just been stretched a little bit. But it would be fitting a story of this season of just crazy, crazy injuries left and right. You look at Freeman, you look at our pitching staff, you look at Vesia. They wasn't there for the NLCS when you were, you got Lindor there just waiting to kill everybody, and you're like, God, what are we going to do without Vesia if he's not in there? Because he was a huge, huge asset. Luckily, they got through all that, and right now they they are up 2-0, which they haven't been up 2-0 in the World Series since whew, uh, since 2020. But that wasn't in Dodger Stadium. That wasn't going to Yankee Stadium, unfortunately. However, based off of the competition, based off of what is likely to happen here, this is supposed to be the Yankees game tomorrow. There's not going to be a surprise if the Yankees win. However, the Dodgers have surprised a lot, even Dodger fans this season. The way they've conducted their bullpen sessions and winning on the road, the way Yamamoto finished the Padres in game 5 at home, those are huge. The fact that they destroyed the Mets in all 4 of their wins to the point where the Mets had no chance of winning any of those games. The Dodgers won game 1. They probably should have lost. They won it in dramatic fashion. They did it. They had a grand slam to finish the game. That's never happened in World Series history. They won a close game yesterday that took out a little bit of the excitement as the game was ending. I remember when Edmund caught that last out, I wasn't excited like I would have had Otani not gotten hurt. I probably would have been jumping and going crazy. Right now, because I've been because baseball is just so fickle. One little thing can make things go south for you quick. You're never really comfortable. I just watched a documentary about the Atlanta Braves in 1996. They won both first games, both the 1 and 2 games on the road in Yankee Stadium before they were coming back to Atlanta. They were favored to win that series. They were supposed to win that game. They were up 6-0 into the 6th inning. Ended up being, I think, 6-3 at the eighth inning. They win that game, they probably win the World Series. And then, of course, Jim Leyritz hits a 3-run homer, ties it, and they end up winning 8-6. And then, of course, Yankees end up winning the rest of the games in that series and winning the World Series. Baseball's that quick. It's that quick. Hell, last year, Arizona was down 2-0 against the Phillies. Everyone was all over the Phillies. Phillies the last few years, right? Last 3 years, it's all Phillies. They even spotted them 2 games, and Arizona still came back and won. So you just never know. You never know. It's not likely with this Dodger team because their arsenal is just too devastating. But I guess the anxiety that I have to go through here, and it's one of the few times where the anxiety is it's like all the time, like all day I'm thinking about it. Usually I was able to not think that way during the San Diego series or the Mets series. I think as they came into the World Series and of course we're seeing who they're playing. I want them. They have to win this series so bad because I think it's going to set the table for so many things, and the fact that it's the Yankees. I have never seen a Yankee win by a Dodger in the World Series in my adult life or in my coherent, able to understand life. I was only 3 years old when they did it in '81. So yeah, it's. I want to sweep. I want this done on Tuesday. I really do, but I just don't know if that's being realistic. But in the meantime, I'll enjoy it. If it means I got to suck it up a little bit and they win it at home in Game 6, then you have another story there where the Dodgers would have ended up winning the division at home, winning the NLDS at home, winning the NLCS at home, and then winning the World Series at home. And winning the first 2 games is obviously already guaranteed that they will be coming back to LA. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
Fameless is asking, who's got the advantage in starting pitching tomorrow?
I think they asked Tim Kirchin this question. Bueller, I think it's even. But Bueller pitches really well in cold weather. His stuff works better when it's a little colder. The movement on the ball,
It starts to dip a little better.
it does. So it's going to be a little colder there because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, by the way, Clark Schmidt is the Yankees pitcher. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's a right-hander, which means if Otani, somebody made a good point, and I kind of thought about this in my own head, and then somebody actually said it. Otani will probably not likely go after that slider out pitch that he kind of was going after here the last few games. I think he's going to wait for the ball to get to the zone and try to do the best he can to make sure that's good. Right-handed pitcher, you got Otani, you got Freeman, and you got Muncy. You got three huge, big money, left-handed batters, and you got right field. Right field where I think I can hit a home run with one arm doing that if I get a good hold on the ball. So Schmidt is going to have Schmidt. My assessment on that is if Muncy, Freeman, and Otani don't swing at non-strikes, I believe Schmidt's going to be issuing a lot of walks unless he wants to risk the ball getting taken out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Great insight from Joe. So, what is your schedule tomorrow? Where are you going to be at? It's obvious you're probably going to be with us very much, so that's
Home.
understood.
I prefer to be home. The older I get, the more I want to be at home for these things. Of course, if people wanted to come to the house and watch, they're more than welcome. But I prefer to be at home. I can control the screen. I'm not big on being around people. I don't really like people, let alone I have to hear them talk.
BTS is asking, what I think we talked about this last week. Do you like the prospect of Otani pitching once again? I'm not thrilled with it. I think you should focus on one aspect of it. But again, if it makes him happy, you're paying him $700 million.
Well, he's 30 years old. I'd say, I think it would be roll with it for a couple more years. Roll with it. And
the last thing you want to do is piss him off.
Well, he would be pissed off. I think they obviously discussed this. If he wants to pitch, he can pitch. If it doesn't work out, okay, well, we gave it a try. You can't do a third Tommy John, then he becomes a DH for the rest of his career. And that's okay. He had a 50-50 in that 1 year that he didn't pitch. What you have with Otani pitching is as much of a cheat code as you probably have ever had in baseball, I guess, since the 1918 Boston Red Sox. I know I've read a little bit about baseball back then, and I knew that Babe Ruth was pitching. Babe Ruth was quoted not too long after that, saying that, hey, this pitching thing, and this is back then during the dead ball eras and all that. Even then, he said, dude, it taxes you. It taxes you. So the Dodgers are going to have to make a decision, as well as Otani, together. And I'm sure they probably talked about this already, where, sure, he's 30 years old. He's still young. He still has a few years where he can pitch, and it would be great to see maybe a championship with that. Cool. But I just don't think he should pitch after 2 or 3 years, at most 3 years. I think he should retire from pitching in the next 2 to 3 years, focus on the hitting, and then in that time, maybe win a title or two, and that you did what you wanted to do. Because I think you would be taking away from what he's put on this planet to do, which is hit home runs. That's my opinion on that.
Do you think it'd be a closer, or do you still think he's a starting pitcher?
He'll be a starter. I don't know if he'd be a closer after relinquishing his pitching career, but it's all great. It's all great questions to ask when that time comes. The Dodgers, I believe the Dodgers, and I think Major League Baseball will probably follow. I believe the Dodgers need to set the next rotation of Major League Baseball as the pitchers pitch only once a week. So they pitch every week, every Monday, every Tuesday, whatever, depending on how the schedule works. Usually the Dodgers are off Thursday or Monday. And I am in the support of getting enough pitchers to where they're only pitching once a week. Yamamoto pitches every sixth day. That's what he was doing in Japan. And I think at the very least, you should do that. I would even go 7 days, pitch every seventh day. And then I think you might be able to uh, get the eliminate a lot of the stress of these guys, especially if they go 6 or 7 innings. Then you're not a lot. Then you're not killing your bullpen throughout the year too. You let these guys pitch to 6 or 7 if they're dealing that day, and then you have your setup man and your closer, and that's normal stuff. That's as good as I can think of at the moment. I don't know how else they go about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll find out tomorrow. Probably won't be with me to the post game. Then I'm assuming. Would you do a
It just
nightcap?
depends. It just depends. I don't know. It would depend on if the Dodgers win. No, if the Dodgers are getting blown out in the first 2-3 innings, it's a very good chance I'll probably switch over to the Laker game, and then obviously I'll be watching the Steeler game too. And that's really the problem is I have 3 of my games tomorrow night, so my focus won't be on the Lakers. So doing a post game show is going to be irrelevant because I'm not going to be able to talk about anything. The Lakers one is the odd man out tomorrow night, unless the Dodgers are getting blown out. Then I can switch it to the Steelers and the Lakers, and then I can let you know tomorrow.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. I will be here for playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, and I will be here for the post game as well. And if Joe is here or Joe can stop on by, it is always greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody on Facebook. Hello. Glad to have you here just before we head on out. But Joe, it's been a great conversation. It is probably one of the biggest weeks of the year for LA sports. It has been for the past few days. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Please, Dodgers win tomorrow, and we'll be celebrating a World Series if you do very soon. Go for the jugular, man. Go for the jugular. Those guys are going to be swinging at everything. They're going to be very aggressive, and I wouldn't want anyone else other than Buehler to do this because Buehler has that road big game metal, and if you're going to be aggressive against him, you might be in trouble. I don't think he's going to throw that four-seam fastball at will here, but I'm sure he'll place it in certain times, and I'm sure he'll probably allow a couple of dings here and there. But the Dodgers have shown that other than a few games every now and then, they're going to drop 6 runs. So if you give Buehler 6 runs, I feel very comfortable that the Dodgers will win tomorrow and put a stranglehold on the series.
But for us Lakers fans, it starts tomorrow on a very important early 5-game road trip as the Lakers face off against a team looking for some revenge in the Phoenix Suns tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I'll be there. I'll be looking to go ahead and anchor the coverage as best I can. Maybe Joe will be with me. I don't know who'll be with me. I'm hoping somebody will be with me. And if not, I'll be there nonetheless. But it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Don't forget, again, you can become a member for just $2.99 a month. You can go ahead and get emojis, inside information. You go ahead and get those badges. And you also get big shout outs from us, all of us right here, the Lakers Fast Break. Joe, it's been a great time talking to you, my friend, talking about the Dodgers, talking about the Lakers, talking about everything that's going on in LA sports culture. Man, it's been a busy week, my friend, but you're thinking the Dodgers will be able to take it at least 2 out of 3 in New York City?
I said that if they went up 2-0, that they probably come back from New York. I predicted they come back from New York with a title. So I'm going to stick with my prediction that the Dodgers will end up winning 2 in New York and bring it home. However, I wouldn't be sad. My chest would probably, and my stomach would probably be in pain for a while. But there is something romantic about finishing a title win at home, and it would finish off the year perfectly because of the fact that they've closed everything at home, their division and both their playoff series. And if they did it here again, if that's the case, I'll take any way you can get 4 wins. Uh, but I also like winning on the opponent's field or court, especially when it's the Yankees. And I just think that would be, for me at least, better and more kind of like we were the best team. And the Dodgers have been the best team in the majors. And baseball doesn't necessarily allow you to be the best a lot of times in the playoffs because things are so fickle, momentum can shift so quickly. But if the Dodgers win this World Series, this went exactly how it was supposed to be because the Dodgers had the best record, had home field the entire time, and they beat all the best teams. It's as earned as you can go. You cannot argue against anything in this. They earned it. They were down for a little bit against San Diego, but the way they dominated San Diego, it almost felt like uh, they were kind of asleep a little bit, and then they kind of woke up and they handled San Diego the way they should have. 24 straight scoreless innings, and that was a wrap. And then, of course, the Mets being the best team since June. My God, I don't know how many times John Smoltz said that. I want to go through and I love John Smoltz. His analysis is amazing, explaining pitches and how batters react to certain things. I mean, absolutely phenomenal color guy. But my God, they went way overboard with this ball gargling with the Mets. And of course, the Dodgers handled them in as close to a 4-game sweep in 6 as I probably have ever seen. I mean, 4 ridiculously blown out games. And that was a fun series in a lot of ways. I was completely relaxed. I'm relaxed a little bit with this. They're in better position after 2 games in this series versus the last 2 series. But I purposely watched a lot of the videos online, and of course the DVR. I recorded the DVR of the Atlanta thing on MLB where they blew the 2-0 lead against the Yankees in 96, and the Dodgers blew a 2-0 lead in 78. They returned the favor in 81. And again, 2-0 leads are not always safe, although it's an 84% chance that they're going to win a title. So those are pretty good odds.
John McCallion, big shout out to you, my friend. As I said at the beginning
Holy
of the video.
Crap, John is here?
Yep, he is on Facebook. He's asking if he could get Joe's blood pressure readings as part of the $2.99 a month deal on our
Why does it say
program.
Facebook user?
It's the way the software is reading it, but I did check. It is John McCallion. Don't forget to check out his channel today on YouTube as well.
I'll try and I don't have one of those pumps. I know that there's a port that you can buy those, but I'll tell you this, man. Woof. The blood pressure was high last night, but it would have been higher if Ohtani hadn't gotten hurt, because the whole time my stress of worrying about Ohtani being out kind of diminished my worry of the Triton pitching kind of. The thing is, he wasn't really pitching erratically. I mean, Chisholm Jr. hit a ball that that was a Tony Gwynn hit by Chisholm. I mean, that slider low in, and he hit it dead on, timed it perfectly. Guys, baseball is hard. Vesia said it at the postgame. Baseball is really hard. And it's sad because I was part of the Roberts. Didn't want to use the word that I was going to use, but I was part of the detractors of the Roberts gang. And I'm not apologizing for it. There were things that he did that shouldn't have been done, but I think Brett Boone is getting that right now, and I'm trying to justify that to a lot of the Yankee fans, even though they've been wanting Boone gone for a while. I think that's probably what a lot of it has to do with. But it's funny that they had Cortez in there to get the most dangerous batter on the planet. He gets it done in one pitch, No one complained, but then they complained when Freeman guessed right and took it out of the park. You can't have both, guys. You can't have both. See, the difference between that and the way Roberts has made decisions, just to give you an example, Tyler Anderson in 2022, probably the most hurtful loss of this run. It was the most hurtful loss. 19 was really bad too, but 2022 was really hurtful because they had 111 wins and they would have ended up facing Houston in the end, and they would have. I believe they would have beaten Houston in 2022. Uh, but he took Tyler Anderson out too early, and they were up, and he put the wrong guys in at the beginning of it. Like they didn't get anybody out after that, and then San Diego ended up winning in 4 in San Diego. Whereas Brett Boone did make the right call. He got Ohtani out in one pitch, but then because he couldn't get, and what Ohtani did that a lot of people weren't really paying attention to, because I didn't even know the rule, was because oh my God, it goes my memory again. Whoever was playing left field, what was his name for the Yankees? He used to be a Dodger. I gotta say his name. What's his name?
For the left field this year?
Right now he's playing.
Just look at the box score. You'll be able to find out.
Left fielder, Yankees. Jeez, not Soto.
No.
Verdugo. So Verdugo catches that ball and goes in the stands and throws the ball from the stands. What that does is, according to the rules, that automatically advances everybody 90 feet. So first and second now go to third and second. And then they walk Mookie Betts. So they criticize him for walking Mookie Betts. They criticize a lefty-lefty thing. Again, baseball is a very, very, very unforgiving and kind of jackal-like game. I saw a video today of Yankee fans, and I'm not trying to justify Dodger fans. Dodger fans are some are freaking scumbags. A lot of scum, more than most. But when Ohtani got hurt, there's a huge crowd in New York, and they were all flipping off and cheering Ohtani being hurt. Those guys deserve to be forced to drink sewer water. Those are pieces of shit human beings. And that's the button on tonight. I would be playing that video in the locker room if I'm the Dodgers.
2 last notes from the NBA tonight as the Clippers defeated Golden State in Golden State. It was confirmed that Stephen Curry did turn an ankle. We don't know the severity of it as of yet. They are taking MRI on it. But he did go back to the locker room and just watch the highlights of it. He did tweak it pretty good. And, he's got those tricky ankles. So we'll see what comes out of that. I mean, they're a deep team, but they're a deep team of guys who doesn't have a star without Stephen Curry. So we'll see what happens from there. And last but not least, I'm watching that game, Joe, between the Clippers. It just makes me angrier and angrier and angrier when I watch the Clippers and I see Ivica Zubac dominate in the paint like he is. He has continued to progress, Joe. It is irritating because he's getting even better. He signed the extension, Joe, with the Clippers, and he's doing even better now. I think it was 28 points, 19 rebounds tonight, I think. Let me go ahead and confirm that. But, yeah, monster numbers so far early this season for Ivica Zubac, Joe.
Yeah, it reminds me of Dodgers letting Beltre go. Beltre's going to be a Hall of Fame.
Mike Muscala.
It's or even worse than
I'm
that.
sorry, 23 and 18, 6 assists and a block shot. Yeah. 2 steals too. Just imagine, Joe, if he is paired up with AD.
Second round pick too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. He wanted to play right away. That's why he got pushed to the second rounds, because he wanted to play in the NBA. He didn't want to be a European stash and draft, because that's what most of the late round, first round picks were doing, was stash and draft, draft and stash. Yeah, he did not want that. He wanted to play right away. Yeah, that how well did that age out, JSJ? Yeah, that was Rob was in the room for that, so I'm not letting Rob off the hook for that one. I'm not letting Rob off the hook for that one at all.
I still
At
blame
all.
Magic for that one though.
You man, you can, okay, but I'm still Rob was
That
in the
might be
room.
that might have been the backstabbing comment. That might have been the genesis of the backstabbing comment. Because Magic was quoted saying, when you say, I wanted to have a say in what was going on. And well, maybe in that instance, and this is just speculation, maybe in that instance, Rob's like, I don't think that's a good idea to trade Zubac, and he did.
I was really super high on Zubats. I was, yeah. How high am I on now with Dalton Connect? I was high on Zubats at that point in time, and look what happened. So, yep, 23-18. So for the Clippers, he's keeping them afloat. We talk about how the Clippers are doomed with Kawhi, but if he takes that next step as a dominant center in the league, who knows? Who knows, indeed. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Mike Muscala. That's all I'll say. Yeah, exactly, Che. Robin Magic. Why? 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 It is, of course, the Lakers fast break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. Thameless wanted to know: are you going to dump the actual meaning of that moniker before we head it out?
Nope. Figure it out.
He said, "Google it."
Two easy words that you can translate it to.
Okay. All right. And there you go.
There's a layman's term of it, and I'm not gonna ever tell you. You got to figure it out. You can do
23-18, Thameless is a dominant performance.
I'll give you a hint.
Tonight.
It's one of my it's a big part of my personality. It's a sexier explanation of my personality.
Okay.
Let's see if somebody can find out. If somebody says the two words together the right way, I will get you guys any one Lakers fast break hoodie that you want. Anyone you want.
All right.
You got to have the two right words in layman's terms, because this together will give you an actual scientific word or words, and then it translates to two words that have been said before when you factor these in. You can email Gerald if you.
Well, but gotta give me a deadline. Can't do like 2 weeks.
No. Let there's no deadline. Just figure out. You guys can figure it out.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, I'll forward it over. Any emails?
I want two words. It's two words. It's the layman terms of this. And
okay.
My cousin guessed it. So you guys, somebody can guess it. Somebody not guess it. Somebody will find out and say it.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys study up on that one. If you want a LFB, I guess hoodie is the I guess what's on the line.
Any clothes you want. If you want a shirt, I'll get you a shirt. It's up to you. I was just thinking the hoodie is the most expensive.
But on that note, if you do want to email it, email your answer to me, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, and I'll forward it over to Joe, and he'll respond to you. Roy, it's the right here. It's right there on Joe's moniker as far as what he's using for his name tonight. So with that,
hold
yes,
on,
Bloodhound.
I'll write it in the thing. Hold on.
Okay, he'll write it. Take a look at his moniker, what he used instead of his name tonight, or Ox 1947 tonight. If you guys can figure out what those two words are in that little thing, because if you try to Google it, it just comes up for an anesthesia, chemical for an anesthesia. So that's not it. So if you can figure that out as far as right there, you can go ahead and get yourself a prize right there from Joe Soro and the Lakers fast break. So for Joe Soro, aka Na C11H18N202S, it's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We'll be back, or I'll be back tomorrow. I know for sure. You know what? If all is well and good with Joe, he won't be around tomorrow because he'll be celebrating a Dodgers victory, which I'm hoping for him. But if not, he'll be here. But I'll be here starting at 7 p.m. at least, at the very least, on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And then, of course, the best post game in town right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Be safe, everyone. And go Dodgers and go Lakers.